Some of you know that I have 3 daughters in the age between 20 and 25. And they're all fashion victims. They love to dress, they love to buy, they love to, talk about fashion. In the last half a year, something changed. Instead of going with me to Munich and do a little shopping, they say, "Oh, go alone. We're already done. We're all set up. Can you give us your credit card? That's enough." And curious, I'm asking them, and then they say something like My Theresa, Indochine, all this, and I go, "Huh? Yes, we shop there. It's much easier. It's much better." Interesting thing. So, Harish, we just saw that you're a great investor, and I assume you have something to do with fashion and investments. Yeah. Please moderate.
Yeah, thank you, Steffi. Yeah, I think that's the latest venture that I'm also trying to be a copycat to what Alexis is pioneering in the US. So we're trying to do that in India. So let me first introduce I think I can clearly, I'm sure that this is the most glamorous discussion of all because it's about fashion, and with Alexis sitting here, you can relate to all the high-end luxury fashion brands that you can talk of. Alexis founded...
Try to make it glamorous. I'm not sure we're going to be able to, but we'll try to make it glamorous.
Okay, that's nice. So Alexis Maybank, she founded Guild.com, and I guess you have north of 2 million members already, and probably the fastest growing private shopping business out of US. And Kyle, my friend, is probably the first online fashion label in Indochino, and a true international fashion label, already having customers in 50 countries, and probably leveraging the internet to set up a global model already, where they have consumers out of North America, and they do all their manufacturing and logistics out of China. So they're trying to marry the strengths of both worlds and trying to create a best of both worlds scenario. So I think just to get our discussion started, you represent private shopping, but there are other models which we would probably want to talk about. So there are these models about collective buying, the Groupon kind of models, and then of course the Vampruvy, Guild kind of models, and then the open models which are not private in nature, the Net-a-Porter kind of models. Are they all serving the same consumer need, or are they different? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I see them serving all different types of consumers, frankly, and different types of needs. They're all interesting models in their own right. The collective buying models, one of the most prominent companies that are getting a lot of press right now in the US is a company called Groupon. Groupon does collective buying for local services. It tries to bring a little bit of the urgency online as a flash sales site, much like Gilt, and I'll tell you a little bit about Gilt for those not familiar with it in a second. So it's an interesting model. It brings value, but part of the thing that I do like about the collective buying is there's a big incentive to tell your friends about it. You don't get that deal unless enough people buy into it. So I like the fact that people are incentivized to tell their friends about it and spread the word. One thing that I think they're going to be challenged by is the fact that the local services business, you need tremendous sales forces to get those models up and running. So it's much more headcount intensive. It's a lot harder to put on many, many small sales than to put on a few large sales. And that could be something that they're challenged as they scale. We are part of the flash sale kind of surge that seems to be sweeping many countries right now. Guild Group offers access on its website to about 2 million customers who are shopping for brands like Hugo Boss and Valentino at prices of 70% off. But what we do is we bring the urgency to shopping by having sales that last just 36 hours and feature one brand. So that kind of urgency and scarcity, what's powerful about it is people are coming to our site and often buying in under 5 minutes. And these are price points north of $150. And that's terrific to see online and is very rare. So it's a powerful thing. It's innately very viral too. It's a topic people like to talk about, so it spreads rapidly. And I think they're servicing different needs to your earlier question, but they're powerful models. Each has its own challenge when it comes to scale that they'll have to overcome.
But just to extend it further, you're 2 million members, and let's say soon you'll be 10 million members. How much private is it anymore? Like, how is it then going to be different from, let's say, a Net-a-Porter, right? It's a flash sale is about a select group. So if you have a base of 10 million members, is it really a private sale model still? So then what is the merit of being a private sale model? Why would one want to be in a private sale space?
That's a good question. Well, first of all, we do the by membership only because it does spur friends to tell one another about the site. And that's been the majority by which we've kind of scaled the business today. But it's a good question. When you have 10 million people, is it truly private? What we can do today and what we'll invest in further over time is underlying data analytics, so that when a person comes to our site, right now we're showing them 15 sales that start a day. As we scale, we won't be able to show them 30 sales starting a day. It's too much, it's overwhelming. So over time, we'll be segmenting our base so that we're showing them the sales they're most likely to want. And that will feel smaller. It means we'll put a brand on average in front of maybe only 5 or 10% of our membership, not in front of the entire membership. So that's what will make it feel small and more exclusive even as we scale.
And I can add to that as well, actually. I've seen it with their model. One of the things that you have is a very limited supply. They have only 100 of certain item, and then it sells out. So there's inherent exclusivity in their model. And you see that in a lot of web models. Threadless.com, for example, has shirts that are designed by their members and released in numbers as small as 10. Or on our suit site, for example, we actually release new designs every week. And those are in very limited supply, sometimes as low as 5 or 10 suits. And because you don't have all of the fixed costs that come with the traditional fashion model, because you're online, you're able to offer this exclusivity in a lot of different ways that currently just don't exist.
So Kyle, a question for you. You're into the business of doing suits. So, that means perfection, right? When you're buying a suit, you have to be a little fussy about, is it fitting me right? Is it, typically when anyone goes for a suit, in India at least, we have a trial session as well before you get the final delivery of the suit. And where, you measure to the last centimeter and he makes you look into the mirror and you're happy with it. So how do you deal with the challenges of touch feel for some, a category which is so, personal and so perfection driven?
Yeah, and that's a really serious question. That's our number one hurdle as a business. And there are tons of very inherent issues with selling fashion online, but there's also a lot of advantages that I think people always just tend to ignore. The obvious one is the cost and price saving. You're able to offer a product for a third of the price in our case. So a $1,000 suit we offer for $300. But where you also see it is, for example, with our business, we have a resource called the Style Book. And what that is it's a style resource so men can find out how a suit should fit, what I should wear at the office. And what we do is we're able to provide from your very own home a breadth and depth of advice that you just can't get in an offline retail setting. And granted, you can find this information in places like GQ, Esquire, some of the major fashion publications, but what makes us really unique is we're able to connect this expert fashion advice directly to our products. And so this is actually the very first time that anyone's been able to connect products that fit you right then and there. And so I think it actually ultimately produces, in a lot of ways, a much more compelling buying experience, especially in the case of men who don't like really shopping. To further support it as well, it comes in on the service level. Yes, measuring yourself can be a bit of a challenge to some people, but ultimately we provide what we call a 100% perfect fit guarantee. And you see it in a lot of other people in the industry. Zappos.com offers a very similar kind of customer-centric return policy. So, for example, with us, you can alter your suit for free, and we'll pay for all the alterations at a local tailor. We'll remake it if it's very off, and you can also return it for a full refund. And just being able to reduce these barriers through your terms of service, I think, is a way that a lot of people get more comfortable with buying online.
So you say the biggest, the compelling reason is the price that you would attract customers.
I mean, initially, that's been our driver up until this point. We've actually started increasing prices. And the reason for that is ultimately what we provide is a service. Our top customers are young businessmen, New York, LA, and these guys, they're not making a ton of money, but they need to be wearing suits 5-6 days a week. And what we provide for them is a real great speed of service. Once you've gotten your first suit in, you've tweaked the measurements, your second suit, point-click buy, shows up at your door fitting perfectly. And so with these guys, we actually see sales, once a month. I mean, very consistent buyers.
But if the core reason is price, then are you saying that this model is only it's not a model for the emerging markets where probably, I would get the suit at the price which you would anyway sell me at?
No, and again, I
so
really
there's no
feel...
incentive for someone living in India to buy from Indochina?
No, you see, not at all. I mean, we've sold a few suits to India, believe it or not. But, I mean, what we offer, just again, because we're online, we're completely international. We have a large expat community, for example, that they'll buy a suit in Shanghai, and then they'll move and, they'll spend 6 months in India, and they'll go buy a suit while they're there. And then same thing, now they're back home in Germany, and they can buy from us. In our case in particular, a lot of people have come over to Asia. They've done the cheap suit thing. They've gone through the fabric markets. And what we do is we've made that scalable, we've made that a much higher quality purchase, and we've been able to let you take that wherever you go internationally. So we're really taking a really value-add local service and kind of spreading it on an international market.
Right. Alexis, coming to the emerging markets for your this thing, I don't know, maybe that's a problem in your market as well. In China, or let's say India, you'll probably, Johnny Walker Black Label probably, the amount of Johnny Walker Black Label that is consumed in India is more than what Johnny Walker produces globally. So, there's this huge fake market, or there are more Louis Vuitton bags that are probably, sold in China than Louis Vuitton would have ever manufactured them. So, do you at any stage face this problem of fakes, and do your consumers question that, and how do you tackle that?
Well, I'll start by saying we're not in any emerging markets right now. We're in the US and Japan. So, but I do anticipate it as a problem as we expand into maybe markets in the future like China. What we have seen, though, is that in markets where it is a problem, there's an added benefit to being a foreign enterprise. There's a little bit more trust that comes along with that. But that said, the types of products, we're typically selling the high to mid-high tier of luxury. And there's very compelling reasons to move into certain markets, say like a China, because if you look at price points in comparison to the US, they're 200% greater for the same good than you'd find in, say, the US, or even in not quite as much, but compared to Europe as well. So there is a growing demand for these imported luxury products. They're popular. People are now spending as part of status in many developing worlds. But generally speaking, these imported products are offered at much higher price points than you get in the US or in a European market. So I think there's a powerful incentive to go there. One of the things you will deal with is how to develop that sense of trust so that they see you as an authentic place for product. And in many cases, I said, I think it helps that you're a foreign entity coming in. So
if I was to say between credibility or trust and deep discount and great service, what would you? How would you rate them? 1, 2, 3?
Well, it's different market by market. It's really hard to make big generalizations across all countries. But I would say in certain emerging markets, again, like China, I think credibility and trust in the brand is the first and foremost, above discount. In certain other markets, although, I'll say Japan. Japan was not a developing market, of course, but the customer support and level of support was the most critical thing we could offer there, alongside with credibility. They have very high exacting standards for receiving a box within a certain amount of days. In the descriptions, that is not, different than any other country. So it really depends country by country. They're all important, but in some, price eclipses, as in the American market. Trust eclipses in, say, a market like the Chinese market, and service in a market like the Japanese market.
Interesting. So my last question, and then maybe we'll probably open it for the audience to ask questions. So, like let's say you have 2 million members right now, and market to market, cost of one member would be $1 to $2, $3. So, it's a matter of few $1,000,000 to create that kind of a member base. What's unique about your member base? Like, what makes your member base so unique? Any online marketing company can help you build that kind of a member base very fast.
Well, I'd say one thing that's been unique with Gilt, out of the 2 million people that are shopping on the site today, over 70% have come through word-of-mouth referrals, friends telling each other about it. That's something that's really hard to replicate. They're always a much more qualified consumer than one you acquire through SEM or through Google search. So that's powerful if you can replicate that viral effect. One other thing that's been unique about what we've built is the fact that we really have concentrated our membership strongly in kind of the 18 to 30-year-old set. We over-index by about 3x the amount of consumers at household incomes over $250,000. So we've been successful at getting professionals who are affluent and young, who are spending a lot more time at their desk than they are in stores. And the good thing about it is that brands really want to reach them. And it's probably the most compelling thing about what we do is that many of our brand partners see us as a marketing channel or media channel, a unique way, innovative way for them to reinvest in their own brand, get their product in younger hands, if you will, lest they risk kind of growing old with their consumer base and not reinventing themselves. So this is a unique channel to market for them, and they've recognized that early.
Excellent. So if you have any questions, I think, maybe.
So the question is actually, what are the challenges compared to a standard fashion shop? What are the challenges that you face? Is it customer acquisition, warehousing, logistics? Can you maybe say something about that?
So the question is, compared to a traditional fashion house, what are the challenges that we face that they don't? Well, I think there's some challenges that we face and benefits that we have that they don't have. And when I think about traditional fashion houses, I'm thinking about maybe a Gucci as an example, or multinational retailers. We have some of the same challenges when we expand into a new market. We have to set up distribution and logistics, much like they would. We have to build a brand. Often, a Gucci carries its own brand across borders, but businesses like ours or other ones in our space, you have to rebuild that from scratch. So that is a challenge, and you're often acquiring a customer base. But some of the benefits that we have is that we don't have the same overhead. We're not building stores. We can get into markets in what's measured in months instead of quarters or years. And we actually can benefit from unique forms of marketing, like people telling each other about it.
Yeah, and I can add to that as well. You covered a lot of it, but for us, for example, because we're an online distributor and because we're not going through the traditional channels, another thing that makes us unique is we actually do all of our own production in-house in Shanghai. And we are actually the only company, and one of maybe 3 that I've come across, period, that go B to C China International. And as a result, we actually deal in this entire gray zone of Chinese customs clearance, international customs clearance, and we've actually had to spend a lot of time navigating the logistics and making it scalable just because it just doesn't exist. And that's one of the things that you see across the board with creating a market, finding customers, building it up, is when you're building a new model, really, you've got no one to work with, and all of the existing partners, A, don't understand what you're saying, and B, probably can't help you. So it just involves a lot of guessing and testing, and then once you do find those channels, really leveraging them, but that easily takes a couple years.
Quick question for Alexis. How do you get to the 36-hour window?
The question is, why do we choose 36 hours? It could have easily been 24 hours or 48. We really wanted to set it up so that consumers knew that that item they saw would be gone next week. Unlike an Amazon, you can't come any day and find that same item, and that brings a certain level of excitement and urgency. So I mentioned already, people literally do come to our site and make a purchase in under 5 minutes. And it's that drive, that urgency, that short window of time drives a certain spontaneity in purchase that you just don't have in an e-commerce site where items are available all the time. You can come back any week, any month, and find that same item. So we're not about selection. We're not about giving you all the time in the world to figure out what you want. We're actually kind of the anti-Amazon in many ways. We have scarce supply. It moves quickly. You have to come on. It's almost competitive at times, and it adds a lot of fun. And it almost, the psychology reverses itself. So if you go to a store and there's nothing left, you think, oh, the store is terrible. In our shopping model, if you come into one of our sales and there's nothing left, the consumer psychology is, it's my fault. I should have gotten there sooner. And we thought it would take us maybe a year or so to train people, but they really got it immediately, and literally come noon Eastern when all of our sales start, that's when the majority rush in. So we have kind of a unique model where, which makes it challenging to scale at times, but where the majority of our shopping base comes in right at noon. It's purchasing majority through, say, 3 p.m. So from 12 to 3 hours of the day, we have a throughput of, say, an Amazon. And the rest of the day, we're a small company. So you can imagine technologically what that's like to scale. Customer support, trying to have a staff that is just working 3 hours a day. It presents challenges that are good and overcomable, but it's unique and it's very different than Amazon in many ways.
It's better or worse. And the second one is there's a lot of buzz around this issue of calculating discounts a few weeks ago, and I wondered how serious that was, how seriously you took that as an issue, and did it kind of die down quickly, or has it changed the way you're doing things?
So in terms of returns, we're very low compared to the industry. We're in single digits in terms of returns, and what we notice is that it's inversely correlated to the discount you're offering. So full price sites, say a brookbrothers.com, they'll have 45% return rates, which is not sustainable at the end of the day. Given that it is often viewed as a unique item that's hard to get, and it's offered at such a compelling price point, we just see returns are innately a lot lower. But that said, we do make it very easy for people who want to return or exchange for a different size. In terms of the discount issue, I think maybe I'm not entirely sure about the question, but I think you might be referring to MSRPs and how we're calculating our own discounts. We always offer everything from 50 to 70% off. None of it we are a manufacturer of record on, so we're always partnering directly with, at this point, over 700 brands, and everything from luxury hotel travel to home decor to things for your family. And we rely on our partners to tell us, where it's made, what was the original MSRP, and all the other details on the item. We had one inaccurate price given to us by a brand this past year, which they publicly said, and that did cause some commentary, but I mean, we're at 99.999% accuracy, so we're proud of that, and there'll always be a couple ones probably in an annual period of time where we'll have to swing back and make sure that we're triple checking, but probably will happen on occasion.
So I think,
just a quick question for Alexis as well. You refer to Guild being a great way for brands to market, sort of new channel to market, which I believe that at the same time, because you're offering discounts and you must be making your own margin, which I guess is sort of around 50% gross margin, they are probably selling to you at a loss or at best at cost. So do you see brands now manufacturing for you specifically with Guild as a channel in mind, a little bit like the brands like Polo Ralph Lauren would have a big part of their business going to outlets, or not? Or is that, is this a big part of your business now?
So with our 2 million customer base and the fact that many brands want to reach this consumer base, yes, they're working with us oftentimes when they don't necessarily need to use us to liquidate product, but because they want to get their product into the hands of our customer base. So that gives us a lot of flexibility and creativity in how we work with brands. In the short term, we are, of course, working through excess product. And as we grow and grow with them, in many cases, we're becoming their largest account, if you will, one of the largest ways they get their product to market. So in an average year, many of our partners will actually go into planning with them, so that they're planning us into their upcoming year. Private collections are made for us. We might be having product produced alongside with the department stores, all in the interest of getting unique, desirable product, great prices, but as recent as possible, recent collections as possible. So yes, it opens up a lot of ways for us to get different types of inventory into our system, both excess and product that is specifically made for Guild. And it gives us a lot of flexibility in how we can kind of create and help their business as well as we kind of scale beyond 2 million people.
Okay, so I think we are running out of time, so we need to wrap up. So one final question for both of you. So what do you think, and you have just 1 minute to answer that, right? So I've read a few analysts saying that there's a question mark on the long-term viability of the private sale model, because the core of the model is that it's built on the surplus inventory or the surplus stock that any brand has, and this is more because of the recession that the ability to get these great discounts is higher, and going forward that correction would be made, and probably it may not be possible to get these crazy 70% off deals on a continued basis for your consumers. So what's your take on that? And is that the reason why you're shifting from fashion to travel, or that's just regular expansion?
I'll answer this really quickly and then turn it over to Kyle. I think without a doubt, as long as you have scale, this is a viable model, and our industry size does matter. So we're at 2 million customers. We'll probably be double that by the summer. It's a powerful marketing engine, much like the gentleman's question over there. People want to reach these consumers, and they're not selling with us today because they need to liquidate excess alone. The other part of it, though, is as you become such a substantial portion of supply for some of the partners, it's going to be painful. They don't want to rip you out of the system. We're helping their business grow, especially through hard economic times, but certainly through good economic times.
So you're clearly emerging as an alternate sales channel.
I think it's its own sales channel.
Okay, and Kyle, fashion is more women, right? I think your 70% customers would be women, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
You're only men.
But the men are the best customers. We love them.
Low returns, huh? So are you saying that, and one-word answers, what is your final goal? To disrupt the custom stitch industry out of US and take it to China?
Everything's already made in China.
No, the custom fit, not the ready-made one, the custom fit.
Well, even custom made, you'd be surprised, is actually almost predominantly made in China. But I really think that custom making is the future. Tailoring has been around for 10,000 plus years. It's the second oldest profession. And frankly, I really think it's the future. Customers are looking for things that are more personalized, that fit them better. And I'm just excited that we're kind of part of that, because a couple of kids from the west coast of Canada, which isn't a very fashionable place, is now playing a role in kind of where the future of the industry can go.
Thank you. Maybe you should add a few products for the women as well. Thank you very much, and thank you to both the panelists for a good session. Thank you.